It's your boy Davidoff. Welcome back to Movie Monday. We are sticking with movie marathons. We've been doing a lot of those recently in a row. This time it's Star Wars turn. With a twist, I'm not doing all of them because I don't want to watch all of them. We're skipping the first two prequels because for me those are just not very good. The first one was okay, to be fair, but not a big fan of it. I don't fancy watching it, to be honest. Attack of the Clones Episode 2, for me that's the worst Star Wars movie, so I don't want to force myself to watch that just for the video, so I am not going to do that. But the prequel I am watching, which is right now, is Revenge of the Sith. I love that movie. I love it. Revenge of the Sith, for me, is fantastic. So I look forward to that. I'm going to watch that right now. And then we will watch Rogue One. Now, that for me is the best movie out of Disney Star Wars. Like, since they made these new Star Wars movies, Rogue One has been the best, I think, and it's a good movie. It was a good movie that I really enjoyed, and I look forward to witnessing that in a second. Well, not in a second, but after this movie for sure. I'm gonna skip on Solo because I just think that's a meh movie. We're skipping anything animated, and we will end with the main trilogy, episodes 4, 5, and 6, the goated Star Wars movies, and those are amazing, and I look forward to watching those for sure. We're skipping on the sequels. Even though I loved The Force Awakens, I loved The Force Awakens, I really did. When I first saw it at the cinema, oh, I was amazed. It was so damn good. But then they messed up the sequels. And I think every Star Wars fan universally agrees with that now. Like, even if you liked The Last Jedi, you probably didn't like The Rise of Skywalker. So, you know, I feel like most people didn't like the way the sequels went, regardless of whether they liked the second one or not. But it is what it is. What's happened has happened. But I'm not going to rewatch Force Awakens, even though I love it, because I know what happens afterwards. So it's like, nah. Let's end on the main trilogy. Alright, so we're watching two prequels, Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One, and then the main trilogy. And that's it. But Star Wars are doing better now. Mandalorian is bloody amazing. So, you know, they're in the right direction. What they did with Mandalorian, that's what they should have done in the first place when they did these sequels, but they're doing it now, so they got a good thing going. But I refuse to rewatch the sequel trilogy or even most of the prequel trilogy. I will just watch Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One, and then the main trilogy. I love Revenge of the Sith, by the way. It's an amazing Star Wars movie for me. For me, it's one of the best Star Wars movies out there. Like, the only ones I consider better are Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope. I have got all 5 movies in 4K, by the way, so I'll also be judging the 4K quality along with the content of the movie. This 4K, so far, looks good. I'm on the opening scene, it looks clean. Very clean. Execute Order 66. It's crazy how quickly things change in this movie, you know. I know they were building up to it in the first 2 prequels, but still, like, it all seemed to happen so suddenly, like the turn of Anakin, that specific moment. But yeah, like, there are some scenes where the acting seems a little bit weird at times. I don't know what it is. Sometimes the voice and the face doesn't always match. And it's in sync. I don't mean that. I mean, like, sometimes you hear someone shouting and the mouth's barely moving. I don't know, it just looks kind of... I don't know if you understand what I mean, because I'm not explaining it well. But yeah, apart from that, you know, there's a few CGI parts that are a little bit weird as well. Just, it's many explosions, but most of the CGI is fine. But I gotta say, the 4K is really good. I'm very impressed by the 4K on this, I really am. I have waited a long time for this moment, my little green friend. I can't do a Sith fan. I can't do impressions to save my life, but I had to say the quote. Honestly, for me, as far as lightsaber duels go, the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin in Revenge of the Sith is the best fight scene in the Star Wars franchise, in my opinion. It's definitely my favourite anyway. There are some great ones, obviously, in the main trilogy involving Vader, involving Luke. Yeah, many great ones, many iconic ones. But for me, this was the best one. Obi-Wan versus Anakin, and Anakin in the climax of Revenge of the Sith. Sorry, I can't talk properly anymore. For me, it's the best fight scene in Star Wars. It's the best, at the very least, the best lightsaber duel. Although, I always remember that fight scene. I always forget, I mean, not always, but I sometimes forget how good the other fight was at the same time, which was between Palpatine and Yoda. That was a good fight scene too. And also Obi-Wan's monologue after that fight as well, after he chops Anakin's legs off. Iconic speech. Also, where were Anakin and Obi-Wan even fighting anyway? What sort of planet is this? Like, it looks like something out of Lord of the Rings. Like, genuinely. Like, you'd expect Sauron to turn up. When you finally see Darth get put together and you hear that breathing, that is a chilling scene. Also, I kind of wish we got to see a Darth Vader solo movie. Yes, I know what you're thinking. The prequels are basically his movies. I get that. It's his origin story. But still, I'd love to see a movie with Vader as Vader. Just, I don't know, just doing Vader things and then having lunch with them in the movie. I think that'd work, you know. Vader just being evil for half the movie. Lunchtime, he just eats food for some reason. I don't know why. Just for the sake of it. And then he goes back to killing people. For some reason it would work. At least it'd be better than the sequels anyway. No! That Vader no is iconic. Second most iconic no in the franchise after Luke's no to finding out who he is. Alright, I guess Rogue One is next, which also has quite a good Vader scene at the end. So I just watched Rogue One and I really enjoyed the movie. I didn't have much to say during the movie, but having watched it again, I still stand by my statement that since Disney acquired Star Wars, Rogue One was their best movie. Maybe not their best thing, I'd say that's The Mandalorian, but that's a TV show. I think their best movie was Rogue One. Better than their 3 sequels and better than Solo, easily. So yeah, that's where I stand with that movie. That Vader scene at the end was incredible. Like that Vader scene in the corridor, that was so good. I want to see more of that. That's why I want to see a Vader movie. I want to see him fight people like that. Obviously technology wasn't as advanced for the original trilogy, so I feel like his action was a bit limited and you don't really see him do that sort of thing in the original trilogy, but he's still cool in the original trilogy. It's just that in Rogue One you see a glimpse of what he can do beyond what we've already seen. That's why I want to see him in the movie again, because there's so much they could do with him now. But yeah, come to think of it actually, is there a more iconic villain out there than Darth Vader? I ain't just talking Star Wars, I'm talking all of movies. Is there a more iconic villain? I'd say he's arguably the best villain ever. Like, genuinely. Theme song wise as well, maybe in terms of the theme song as well, he's one of the best. Like, is there a villain out there that is iconic but and also has a great villain theme song? Also, Rogue One feels like a very nice bridge. A bridge between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. I think that pretty much sums up what the movie is, because it's about the team, a rogue team. I guess you could say it's Star Wars' Suicide Squad in a way, but it's a team where you know they're gonna die, but they're put in charge of stealing the Death Star plans and getting them to the rebels, to the Alliance. But even though you know they're going to die, you feel invested in the characters. Like, you know they're not going to be in the main trilogy anyway, and those happen after. So if they're not in those movies, you can tell they're going to die. But even then, these characters, they pull you in. They have an interesting story arc. All of them, really. All of the main cast do have an interesting story arc. And I think everything fits really well together. And it's a really nice bridge, again, between the prequel trilogy and the main trilogy. It even includes cameos from characters that are in both trilogies, like Senator Organa, R2-D2 and C-3PO in there for like 2 seconds, Princess Leia CGI version at the end. It's just a nice connection. Also, the droid in this movie, K2SO, I think his name is. He's funny. He's a really cool droid. Really enjoyed watching him. It was also really sad seeing all of these characters die. You know, the droid hit quite hard. The blind guy, that definitely hit really hard, and his friend as well went out like a hero. And then Jin and what was the captain's name again? Forgot the captain's name. Jin and her friend dying on that beach, and also Riz Ahmed's character, the pilot, dying in that ship. You know, the way they all died, it was emotional, but it was for a cause, for taking down the Death Star and ultimately taking down the Empire. So they're a team of people that sacrificed their lives so that the rebels could have a chance. So, you know, it's an amazing movie. It really is. It's done really well, and I'll always like this movie. I feel like this is one of the movies that shine a good light on Disney Star Wars, despite what else they've done. But once again, it feels like a great bridge. It feels like, you know, it literally is like episode 3.5 basically. But it's a nice bridge. It connects the two trilogies so well, and I really like that. I really do. So it's good storytelling. So yeah, I feel like with Star Wars, they've done so many prequels, like prequels leading up to the main trilogy. It's like, calm down a little bit, man. Calm down a little bit. Anyway, yeah, here is the cover, by the way. The 4K cover. Looks nice. And now we move on to A New Hope. So the 4K on Rogue One looks really nice as well. I gotta say, Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One so far, the 4K has been impressive. Let's see how the 4K is on these older movies. I absolutely love the scene where Luke and Han, along with Chewbacca, go to rescue Princess Leia. It's such a funny scene, but also a good scene, and when you think about it, they had no idea at the time how important they would be to each other in the future. It's crazy when you think about it. Like, there's essentially like Luke just met Han, like, what? I don't know how long the timeline was, but recently, like he met Han recently, and they both met Leia for the first time. And they had no idea who she was, she had no idea who they were. As it turns out, they were a family in more ways than one. The 4K looks so good, by the way. Like, so good. Obviously, like, these obviously came out a while ago, and movies from a while ago can have good 4K, but I'm impressed by the 4K on New Hope. I really am. It's pretty damn good when you consider when it came out. The upgrade, the transfer to 4K, you know, it's made it look so nice. Darth Vader killing Obi-Wan is quite the scene, and I feel like the prequels elevate that scene because the prequels focus on the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin, the mentor-student relationship, and obviously in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin turns to the dark side. And I feel like those prequels, even though I don't like two of them, they do a good job of elevating scenes in the main trilogy, and one of those scenes being Darth killing Obi-Wan. And I feel like, obviously these came out first, this one came out first, and it was a good scene in itself, but I feel like the scene is like 10 times better because of the prequels. So, you know, even though I only like one of the prequels, they do a good job of elevating the franchise, and at least they're, you know, at least they have like one main goal. The sequels is all over the place in comparison, even though I'd say The Force Awakens was probably better than at least episode 1 and 2, and almost as good as episode 3, but still, like, as a whole, that sequel trilogy is all over the place. But the prequel trilogy, it actually elevates the main trilogy, and that's great, even though they're not too great themselves, apart from the third one. So yeah, New Hope is just so good. So damn good. It's crazy, this was the first Star Wars movie. When you think about it, it's quite something. It started something special, it started something big. One of the biggest franchises out there, and they will never top the original trilogy, no matter what they do. But they still could have done better with the sequels, 100%. I feel like they were right to do the sequels, for sure. I feel like sequels are needed, but also they messed it up. But regardless, it's just amazing what it did with the original trilogy, you know. It was just so damn good, and A New Hope was, you know, it set down, it put things in place, you know. This is where it started, and then it set up what happens in the next two movies. And next up is Empire Strikes Back, which many, including myself, regard as the best Star Wars movie. Shall we? Is it just me who thinks the cover theme should be red? Maybe it's just me. Each episode they release, they put a bonus disc on, by the way. I'm assuming they put all their special features on there, because like there's no special features on the 4K disc, so I'm assuming they just stuck them all on there. But still, not too bad. I only bought the ones I like though. I didn't buy the sequels, I didn't buy the first two prequels, I just bought the ones that I'm seeing in this episode. I love how the Star Wars movies love to chop characters' arms off, whether it's a creature or a person. Some people's arms come off. It's a Star Wars thing, which is quite funny. Marvel do it as well. Marvel have had arms taken off as well, as a reference in a way. It's funny seeing how Han and Leia talk to each other in this at the start of the movie, because obviously they get together in the end. And can we talk about the fact that she kissed her brother, Luke? Obviously they didn't know they were siblings at this point, but she still kissed her brother. I don't think they addressed that at all. I wouldn't either, to be fair. I want to forget that too. How can you not love R2-D2, C-3PO and Chewbacca? They're three characters that you can just never go wrong with. If you're a Star Wars fan, you already know. the most iconic Star Wars scene. The scene where Vader tells Luke that he is his father. Such a chilling scene. Every time I see it, every time I see it, even though I know what's coming, it's just incredible. I didn't get into Star Wars until before The Force Awakens came out, like the summer before that. They showed one episode per week. I think it was in like July and August of that year, before The Force Awakens came out. That's when I first watched Star Wars. So by that point, before even watching Star Wars, I already knew about the Vader thing, because it's one of the most iconic things in pop culture history, you know. Of course I'd heard of it, you know. It was referenced in many places, and you know, it's just an iconic scene. And even though I'd never seen Star Wars, I wasn't a fan of Star Wars until I saw them in 2015. Even I knew about that Vader scene, so that's a bit frustrating, because I would love to have found out for the first time through the movie. That would have been amazing. Apparently they kept a huge secret, like no one knew. I think like, I don't know how many people knew. I mean, obviously cast members, directors, but only a few people actually knew about this plotline. Like, well, not about a plotline, but about that particular scene about Vader being his father. A lot of people, most people found out when the movie came out, you know. It was one of Hollywood's best kept secrets. You can read about it. There's even a video about it, I think. There's an interview from Mark Hamill talking about how they kept it a secret. Obviously, that wouldn't have worked in today's day and age, because people would have found out, you know, the internet leaks, reports, all that. But back then, it was easier to hide these secrets, you know, easier to surprise the audience. And my word, did they do it. Also, they put a lot in this movie, which is great. Like, it feels like they put a lot more than the movie actually was. I feel like the movie's like, I think the movie's 2 hours long approximately. It feels like it's a lot longer, but in a good way. Like, they put so much into that 2 hours, and it doesn't feel out of place. The pacing never seemed bad. It was already a great movie, but that scene where Vader reveals who he is to Luke is quite something. And I was gonna ask like, when did Vader find out? But he actually found out earlier. He found out that, well, the Emperor told him that it's Anakin's son. And obviously if you're watching it without the prequels, then you'd be like, who's Anakin? But because I'd seen the prequels, obviously, yeah, I don't remember that scene for some reason. Palpatine telling Vader that it's Anakin's son. I don't remember that scene for some reason. I don't know why. Pretty much one of the few scenes I don't remember. Also, Billy D. Williams is Lando Calrissian. Awesome. Awesome. For the time that he's there, he's awesome. In Solo, to play the younger version of him, I feel like Donald Glover was... Sorry, Danny Glover. I feel like he was the perfect casting for a younger Lando. It's just a shame they messed up the movie, because they could have something special there, but Solo just wasn't that good, unfortunately. I do kind of hate where they ended though. Like, the place they end The Empire Strikes Back, they end it at a place where you want more, and it just ends, and it makes you want a sequel. To be fair, that was, you know, if that's what they were going for, good job. It really made people anticipate the Return of the Jedi. But my word, you had to end it there. You had to end it there. Great movie though, great movie. On to Return of the Jedi. Let's do this. You know, I actually forgot about Tarkin. I was just like, wait, why was he not in this movie? You know, the general that was in Rogue One and in the previous movie, who was basically in charge. And I looked it up, and they were like, he died in the Death Star explosion. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I was wondering, like, where is he? Why is he not here anymore? Did he disappear? No, he died in the explosion. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, let's watch the last movie. I just started watching Return of the Jedi, and it got me thinking. This scene doesn't make me think this, but I'm just thinking right now. I've thought of this in my head. I am jealous. I'm jealous of the people who got to experience these movies for the first time in cinemas back then when they came out. I'm jealous of them, because witnessing this for the first time must have been incredible in theatres, in cinemas. It must have been incredible. I guess I got that feeling with Infinity War and Endgame, to be witnessing those when they first released and everything. I guess it was similar to that. But my word, must have been I can't speak. My word, I can't speak. It must have been awesome. I am so glad that Boba Fett's getting his own series, because we got nowhere near enough of him in the original trilogy, so I'm so glad they're doing something with him. I'm also wondering how he survived, because he got eaten by that creature, didn't he? Is there like an explanation of how he got out? You look at Jabba the Hutt and you think, How on earth did he become so powerful? Money, probably. Also, what he makes Princess Leia wear. My words. I can imagine a lot of people got excited by that, seeing that for the first time. My word. Can you imagine if Vader found out about what Jabba the Hutt made her wear? He'd deal with Jabba himself. Luke finally finding out that Leia's his sister is a big moment. It's kind of heartwarming actually when you think about it. This scene right here, I'm telling you, the effects do not hold up very well. I'm just saying. That's the first time I felt that, to be fair, in the whole trilogy, but still, it has to be said. The effects look very weird in this. The 4K looks very nice, by the way, on all three of the main trilogy movies. Obviously, they came out a while ago, so, like, I feel like good 4K is more impressive on older movies. It looks clean. It looks really clean. It looks nice. It looks like a better quality than what I've seen before. Like, this is good. This is good 4K, I gotta say. It's definitely, like, I've seen some reviews of this. I tend to watch reviews of 4K Blu-rays before I buy them, and apparently these are the best versions of these movies, and I'm inclined to agree. The 4K looks nice, the video quality is clean, and the audio is good as well, and that applies to all three of them. A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. When Luke finally learns how to move something with his mind, such a great moment. It comes within a like comedy scene because they're captured by these little, I don't know what they're even called, these little creatures that want to cook Han Solo, and they worship C-3PO. But yeah, that's when Luke finally moves something. He moves C-3PO's chair. He makes him fly. So yeah, it's quite the moment. And you don't really see it coming, but it goes from a comedic scene to a nice reveal scene. I really love the way Luke tells Leia everything about who their father is and the fact that they're siblings. Great scene. Vader finding out that he has a daughter is quite the scene too. In fact, that whole scene between Luke, Vader and Palpatine is pretty crazy. Vader finally redeeming himself and turning on Palpatine is amazing, and I feel like the prequels elevate that scene as well, because obviously there was that relationship between Anakin and Palpatine which developed during that trilogy, and I feel that trilogy definitely elevates scenes, as I mentioned earlier in the video, and it definitely elevates that scene, I feel, of Palpatine's death, although they brought him back and Rise of Skywalker. But we won't talk about that. Something I'm curious of, because I clearly haven't seen the original version of this, in terms of like, I mean, it's still the same movie, but I mean like at the end with the Force ghosts, you see Anakin, as in the prequel Anakin, but the prequels happened after, so they wouldn't have known that actor would have been there. So who did they show Anakin as in the original version? Was it just Vader as he was revealed in the movie? I'm assuming so. Anyway, yeah, just finished watching and it's amazing. The main trilogy is just, that's all you need really. It's all you need really. But I have a special place for the third prequel, and Rogue One is just nice. Return of the Jedi is not as good as the previous two, but it's still a very good ending to the trilogy. I know that I'm pretty sure like this one is not liked as universally as the other two, but it's still a very good movie, and it's a great way to end the trilogy. Yeah, not much else to say really, apart from Darth Maul, but he was in the first prequel, I think, so I didn't watch that one. But I wish we saw more of Darth Maul in Star Wars in general. He was teased in Rogue One, sorry, in Solo. He was teased. He was there in the after credit scene in Solo, I think. And well, I guess they cancelled the Solo trilogy that they were planning, but I would have liked to see more Darth Maul. I know there was more Darth Maul in like animated stuff, and I need to watch that. But live action wise, I'd love to see a Darth Maul show, or just something. That'd be nice. I know Disney Plus are doing some good things with Star Wars, like Mandalorian for example. I would like to see something Darth Maul related in live action. That'd be nice. Anyway, yeah, this is your boy Davidoff. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and see ya.